this floor it will be given to Mikhail Minakov, who will broach the subject of the ideas which are getting mature in our school. Going through this course for 25 years has been so long that I am risking to outstep my competence. It is not just about a piece of biography, but it is about our convictions, something that we can take forward. We have spoken about language. Anatoly Mikhailov said that the words, and Yuri Sinakosov said that the words are often elusive and very difficult to apply, to grasp. That being said, we're offering the second stage, or the second advanced stage of the school, which would be 15 to 18 to maximum 20 persons, those who are interested, and to do for these persons a special program that Mikhail Minakov will broach. Thank you. Good evening. I understand that we're all a bit tired. We have gone through a very long day, but let me start with the words of academician Mikhailov about rebuilding the bridges, because we live in a time when Europe as a project of a common home is fragmenting. We are going through the time of dissolution. What is to be done? What could we do to counteract the entropy which we're feeling nearly every day, and especially in the in the processes in our societies? What I'm talking about now is not even a project. It is an idea. It is an idea which is under discussion, and some of us have gone already through this painful time of discussion. We are still thinking how to contribute to this idea a shape that will bring the project to fruition. But the idea is in itself simple. It is about having a group of people who, as activists, would be rebuilding bridges on the examples of their lives. And I think that Vitas has a much greater experience in this, who works and speaks. He has performative acts which bring together the two aspects of the thought and the deed. So we, as people, have to respond to crises related to dissolution, and to respond to that lack of dialogue in the civil societies. We are seeing the tensions growing. We are seeing how the dialogue may become impossible. And to find the people to bring us all together in this poliloquy that brings together the knowledge and the experience. The project that we're talking about today is about allowing the Russian society to bring to those simple ideas which bring about and grow from this idea of the modern Russian citizen. the citizen of Russia, the citizens of other countries and nations. This project, if it is approved, will set the task of bringing European citizens to the school who understand that the future lies and depends on rebuilding the bridges and re-establishing contact. This project will aim at making this happen through these actions. This is the super task, which may well seem utopian, but of course, without a super or a dream task, we simply will not move forward. Who may be these persons? We understand that there is a whole host of concepts of civic responsibility. There have been some debates between Vitas, Pavel, and the others. And this growth of reality, which grows through our actions. So a group of people who would live in dialogue, who would be rebuilding the relations between groups, minorities, nations, and peoples. Our idea is related to the fact that personal responsibility must become a part of our life, together with the intellectual audacity. This work and activity is relative to this moral fabric. Something that is the carcass which will keep us standing. We are in a country which has come from the existential argument that we have to stand where we are because we cannot do differently. We cannot stand, we cannot be silent. On practical matters, the stages of this project, if it is approved, are the stages of selecting participants from the numbers of members and alumni. The criteria are quite generalized. They're about understanding the concept of the rule of law, the importance of the international dialogues. This implies 4 seminars for these advanced groups, and they will engage professors, coaches, as well as mentors. The mentors becoming the practitioners who have already reached certain successes and are ready to part with this social capital, with the moral stance. Those people who are ready to share these with other people. And of course, we believe that as a result of several cycles, we will be prepared to create an international and indeed an intergenerational community aimed at restoring the bridges between nations. These groups of 12 to 15 to 18 to 20 people. And indeed, there was where is indeed so we have, and of course the age group may be between 25 to 45, and coming to these seminars, work in the inter-seminar time, and to the knowledge of English is important. It is critical for participating. What are the topics of this process? We understand. We spoke with Leon, and I think that he leads us into a methodology and a methodical thinking for which we're very grateful to him, and how people can go through this process of retraining. We're talking about the supremacy of the law, the rule of law, and the understanding of how such societies, modern societies, operate. Professor Gutkov speaks about the codes of society. So reading these codes and understanding as to what we can go through in therapy, in a therapeutic approach. You can see this historical analysis, what is globalization, how the cultures interact, freedom and security in the world and in Europe, our responsibility at the time of change, and this indeed should go over and above the theoretical deliberations. At the end of the first year of study, we expect these activists to become equipped with the arsenal of instruments required to work in Europe at large, to stand and foster the resolution of conflicts and problems through civic participation. We see in this project the necessity to work together with the universities, and we have agreed to cooperate with the Stockholm School of Economics and the Riga School. It may be that this pool will continue to grow, as we hope it to grow, and imparting to you this knowledge while it is still being in the process of in its very nascent phase, but I wanted to impart this to you. Well, I can see that Alexander Sagamonov has a question. It's not so much a question. In the course of the past 4 to 5 years, I have worked on trying to understand civic work or civic enlightenment in different historical eras, and we have published, I think, 6 texts in that field. Practically speaking, civic enlightenment never had effect if the state had not been a part of it. When we talk about 10 to 15 persons, this may be of interest, of course, but I'm not sure if this can have a social repercussions. For this endeavor to have social significance is that we have to take into account the importance of the element of the state. I was amazed that you never quoted government, or you never spoke about the power in that matter. But I think that intellectuals simply cannot sever these notions. The time when the intellectuals participated in lawmaking has gone into history. So we're talking about the so-called professional interpreters.
What do we want to say? People will just get a chance to relive a life for the second time. But after that, how do we monitor this project? It's a good question. It's a good question about monitoring. But what matters here is that we are launching, and this is the way we will select. I'm very sorry. But the thing is that you should understand that 25 years of the school, it's a question about dozens of thousands of people who were here, over 10,000 for sure. But I'm saying that it's both online and through regional meetings, and this is truly a huge number of people. Sasha, can I say something to you? Certainly, a project like this has to be monitored, and in a sense that you need to get money for that, and you need to properly report for this money, to measure something or show something or whatever. But for you personally, as for me, how can you monitor conscience, convictions, the desire to implement them? You really understand that it cannot be done. Or why are we against artificial intelligence then? But in order to monitor and see the result, there's added value that is quite possible. This is exactly a group of those who work, and this is where you can make this count and see what is the quality of new projects and new quality of old projects as a result of this work. This is investment into people that could be called civic, dialogue, and entrepreneurs, if you will, who know what to do much more than as they get to know much more, know to do many more things than they did before. Probably we are underestimating this natural maturity, although it may not be the final decision, that the Russian civil society, it's not just a desert. In point of fact, there are many projects, effective, well-working projects. They seek to oppose the government. They sometimes cooperate with the government, but very often that, but what about it? Project, he says they will run a project. I'm responding to his words. Look, Misha, it's a project for the school. It's about man. That's it. Sorry, something is being said off the mic. Only Russian. Only Russian, you mean? Oh, I've got only a point that it was only for Russians. Well, what I want to say is that, as I have an idea that people leave their school and they run the projects. And we can see it, we know it. Many don't and many do. But when they're in their school, they're not saying what kind of project they would do. We want to sort of infect him or her with this civic activity to do something that would be useful for the society, and in dialogue maybe with the state, because we're not a political project. Of course, right now we live in a state where everything is political. And at the same time, we want to take away from the state something that is becoming because with us the state covers the society, then how do you convince people that this is wrong? Because I must admit now, I apologize for attracting your attention right now, but when prosecutor's office inspects us and try to shut us down, the school, as a foreign agent, I can't tell you how many inspection checks we went through, and they can see that we are going through all that, and that they need to shut us down. And that is the time when we had a meeting there. And when a young lady comes to us, probably she graduated from the university, she's about 40 maybe. I'm not saying from Moscow University, but she's a lawyer. She wears a uniform and she's listening to what we have to say, and that she says, if you're so good, why is it you do not belong to the state? Why is it that you don't work? She's right. And we want to move away from this understanding. What Lena says, that in your description, what you miss is something. One thing, we don't have sources of educational sources where the Society of Cosmopolitans is. This project would be like that. Sorry, something has been said off the mic. Well, thank you. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Can I say something? It's bigger than a question. I'm Elmira. I represent Analytical Center Polis Asia and the same school in Kyrgyzstan. And I have a question, several questions that sort of fall into this area, and I would beg to differ. And I'm absolutely confident that the most recent presentation by Mr. Mikhail, it says that, and this repeated itself in history, that the best universities very often were in exile. And today this story is European University in Vilnius, European University in St. Petersburg, to be about to shut down, the Moscow School, the Sila in the Budapest. This repeated, they don't have to be institutions, they may be philosophical schools, they often mention Hannah Arendt. And yes, exactly. Yes. What I want to say, that in point of fact, I'm trying to look at it instrumentally, because I also have my own school and it's 6 years old, and that we've been doing it in Central Asia alone. For that matter, for me it is not a problem, because for me, being European, it's not about geography, it's about values and experience. Well, I can see prospects here, I can see it. Because there are two things. There is continuity, and I have no doubts that my school was set up in many ways because of your school. And this sort of continuity, it gives rise to intellectual responsibility and civic enlightenment and many other things. And the second thing, I suppose, is in line with this trend. It's informal education that I may be saying things that are almost criminal, that this academism in this sort of frozen state, this dynamic informal education like acceleration of time technology, they are changing things. And today, Lord Skidelsky was saying that one of the three universal points are about science and technology. This is exactly the point for that. And apart from continuity, there is continuity and informal education. I think that what stands behind this school in these exiled schools, if you look at it from a different perspective, this is where the future lies. Because people in our post-Soviet space, in most part, perfectly realize that formally education doesn't give you anything. And they try to learn in informal schools in this sort of structures, or people like me who try to catch up with their schools and get trained there because it's so important. And in this sense, it seems to me that this is a great idea. and I will copycat sort of whatever you do, whatever I take over from the Moscow school. Thank you very much. Actually, the 20th century also showed us the universities in Gulag, in concentration camps, universities in exile. This is major experience, and it's not about that. We're not speaking about that. You indeed to get to set up a new European project, and we need people. You need personnel who would man this project. Thank you very much.